Good morning, all. So, the first topic we're going to speak through is meal planning and sticking to your meals. This is quite a large topic because obviously there's quite a lot of things that go within this topic, as well as obviously actually physical things you can do and mental side of things as well, which is going to be very individual for each person. Hence why this is just a topic in general, and obviously anything that people specifically struggle with, we go through in check-ins. There is a lot of things that go within this, which I'm going to elaborate on another topic. You know, in terms of meal planning, it can be a wide spectrum of, you know, shift work, going out for meals, struggling with like meals out socially and things like that. So I've broken it down into different topics and we'll go through those specific things in another video. But for today, we're just going to go through, we're going to break it down into two. So I'm going to break down the meal planning side of things and then sticking to your meals, because sticking to your meals, there is, you know, some fundamentals that are actually things that you can work on, but then other side of things, it's mostly mental. So we do need to make sure that we're in the right mind frame. And some people do struggle with this, with certain aspects to their lifestyle, and obviously in terms of like eating disordered eating and things like that. So this is just going to be a basic, you know, information. Anything specifically we can work towards together. But yeah, in terms of like as a whole, we'll just go through the main bits and bobs that I have popped down on here. So the main things to go through first is your meal planning. So meal planning in general can be difficult, but you make it difficult, you know, choose your hard. It doesn't have to be hard, and hopefully these points can help you out a little bit. The main key ones I want to go through initially is obviously the biggest one, planning your meals for the week in advance and do the necessary grocery shopping that you need to do. So in terms of this, there's a couple of ways that you're able to do it or want to do it, depending on like what you like to do. You can either write it down on paper, pop it into some sort of like calendar, schedule on your phone, on your notes section on your phone, whatever works well for you, popping it into there so that you have a visual idea of what you're wanting to have each day throughout the week. Then preparing your meals in batches as well, either on the weekends or a dedicated day, can save you time throughout the week. Another thing that I find helpful with that as well is putting my meats into sandwich bags. So a lot of the time, obviously, you're not gonna, it depends whether you're bulk prepping as a big bulk prep, but sometimes I don't bulk prep all of my foods to avoid the waste of it. So let's say like, you know, a big pack of chicken to all of the people that eat meat. You know, I don't eat all of it in one go. So what I'll do is I'll cut it up into whatever I want. And then what I'll do is divide it into my 100-gram portions. So I have 100 grams of chicken per meal. So what I'll do is I'll weigh out 100-gram portions and then individually put them into sandwich bags and then put them into the freezer. That means for me that it eliminates much, you know, as much waste. I'm not wasting as much stuff. We know it's expensive to buy food at the moment. We need to make sure that we are actually having things that we can use well. But then when you put them into sandwich bags in the freezer, not only are you eliminating that waste, but also when you come round to prepping your meals, let's say I only want to make 2 lots of that chicken meal, then I'll just take 2 bags out of the freezer, and I know that that's the 200 grams that I need to make 2 meals worth of my 200 grams of chicken. So there's also that little tip there. You know, buying stuff that's probably going to last a little bit longer, such as like frozen vegetables and fruits. A lot of the time, like, you know, our fresh fruits and veg go off a lot easier if we're not using them well. So this is just a way of us being able to like keep on top of the waste side of things. Just a little tip there. In terms of like we said about preparing your meals in batches, so what I would like, you know, to do most of the time is, you know, I say to a lot of you, use Google Calendar. The reason why I do it is because there's so much you can put on there. I know most of you use the app so that obviously you can put like your little daily to-dos on there, but for me, I just put in, like yesterday I had, as you can see here, food shop. I had a busy day yesterday. Things go out of your plan. You plan to do something, sometimes it doesn't always work, so you just move it to where you can. So I always put in a food shop day, and a meal prep day. So you can see here I've got like a little to do, meal prep. The reason why I like to do it on a Monday is because I work from home on a Monday, so it is more realistic for me to be able to bulk prep certain things for the rest of the week. I also do it on a Thursday because I work from home on a Thursday. So then what that does is it creates a little bit of a schedule for me. Most of my meals that take longer are already prepped, ready to heat back up again or fry back up on the pan. But most importantly, it gives me an idea of what I need for the rest of the day. So for today, say I'll have my meal whilst I'm here, and then I'll take a meal with me to go to work. So I've got most of my stuff prepped, ready to go, and it just gives me that idea of visualizing when I'm going to go for a food shop, when I need to do a top-up shop, and when I'm going to prep most of the things that take a little bit longer throughout the week. So using Google Calendar to plan your food shops or your meal prep days is helpful in a way. You don't have to use Google Calendar, you can use any type of calendar, but just having an idea of when you're going to go for a meal, food shop, and when you're going to prep most of your meals, because then it eliminates the time taken throughout the week. And you just need to remember, it's future you that's going to thank you for doing that. When you're caught up at work or when you're busy and you're rushing around, that time you've dedicated to prep a couple of meals or prep some foods that take a bit longer is going to help you in that moment, which is going to eliminate you straying away from your plan. What I also like to do as well is have a list of regular foods on my notes section on my phone when I go shopping, because that way then I just need to tick off what I need. I'll show you what I mean, so it makes it a little bit easier. So I go to notes, then shopping. So you see here, all I've got is my little list of all of my regular foods that I have. And then when I do a top-up shop, all I have to do is just untick what I need, and then when I go shopping I just tick off what I've bought. So it just makes life so much easier if you have a pre-plan of the regular foods that you need, and then obviously when you start to run out in the food in the cupboards or in the fridge, you can see, and then you just go, I'll just grab my phone and I just need to, when I go to the shop next, I need to grab some pita breads and some eggs. And then obviously when you do go to the shop, it makes life a lot easier that you can just go through your list and then grab what you need. Majority of the time, if you eat regular things, obviously when they need to be topped up anyway, but it just makes it easier for you when you go food shopping. You know exactly what you need and you don't stray away from the plan too much. If you go into the shop, I only say this off the back of Joe doesn't care what he really eats. So when we go to the shop, he doesn't have a plan. So he'll be the one that goes around the shop and just go, that looks nice. That looks nice. And that's what doesn't help you stay to your meals or stay to the plan of what you originally set out, because you've now got ingredients or you've now got food in your basket and now at home that you don't really know what you're going to make a meal out of because you've just grabbed it for the sake of seeing it. So if you go in with a plan, you just buy what you need and then you just cook what you need, and it makes it so much easier for you to be able to stay to that and stick to that plan. So creating a schedule, my passion between creating a schedule. If you don't manage your time, if you don't plan what you need throughout the week, how do you expect yourself to stay organized? How do you expect yourself to stay less overwhelmed if you've got a million things going on and you haven't put that somewhere? Our brains are great, but they're also great at creating things that we don't particularly need. So if you've got all of these things flying around in your brain and you haven't put them and you haven't dedicated them to a task, obviously you're going to feel quite overwhelmed. Obviously you're going to feel quite, what the hell, what am I doing? I don't know what to have for this meal now, because there's no information put down, there's no schedule put down. So set specific meal times to try and stick to them. Consistency helps regulate your metabolism. It can also reduce with the unnecessary snacking, but what it also does as well is it helps you know, and it helps create a in tune with your body. If your body knows what particular meal it's going to have at a particular time, I know not everyone can do this. This is just a general, overview of what we can do as humans. If you eat, if I eat at 9 o'clock, my body starts to go, we're ready for that meal now. If you then eat at 12 o'clock, you're going to start getting a little bit hungry towards 12 o'clock. So not only does it help you with a lot of things in terms of consistency, but it also helps your body understand when you're going to get that next meal, which creates a nice schedule for your body. It creates nice digestion for your body, and it also gives you that cue to, it's time to eat soon. What I'd also advise as well is possibly if you can, is having a whiteboard of some sort, or like I said, a notepad or something like that with your meals on. Or, you can get the ones that you stick on the fridge and you can just write your meals out, what you're going to have each meal or what you're going to have for dinner each day. If you are able to write it down somewhere and visualize what you're going to have, again, it creates a lot more of a streamline with going to the shop, buying the ingredients, and then cooking your meals when you need to. If I go, today, for example, is my rest day. So I'll go to the fridge and I've got a section on my whiteboard, training day foods, rest day foods. So all I have to do is, because I don't always remember my meals off by heart, but I'll go to the fridge, I'll look at my meals and go, okay, well, I'll have that one there, and then I go to work, so I'm going to take that one with me because it will stay a little bit nicer if I take it with me. And then I need to go here, so I'll make this one as well. So in the morning, it will help you create a bit of a schedule of prepping your meals for the day as well as prepping the meals for the week. So understanding what meals you want to have and when you're going to have them creates that schedule even better as well with the foods. And also having a list of the meals you enjoy so you can eliminate decision fatigue around food. I have spoken about this topic with a few of you. Decision fatigue is a thing. Throughout the day, we have so many decisions to make. We are constantly making decisions. What am I going to do? I need a wee. Should I go to the toilet? I need to have a drink. Do I have a drink? Especially if you have ADHD. I know a few of my clients have ADHD. I do. I'll sit and I'll do something and then I'll think about something else. And I'll think about something else. And I'll think about something else. And I'll do something else. And then I'll go on to something else. All of that time, I'm making mini decisions. If you then, on top of that, we have to go to work, we have to make decisions of what time we need to leave for work, we have to make decisions of what we're going to wear for work, we'll make decisions of, who we're going to speak to at work. All of these things, think about it. If we then, on top of that, have to make decisions of what am I going to have for breakfast, what am I going to have for lunch, what am I going to have for snacks, what am I going to have for dinner, that is very overwhelming. If you don't have a plan of what you like and what you enjoy, you are going to fatigue in your decisions. And when we're fatigued, we make poor choices. Let's just put it that way. If we are fatigued with the decision of what we're going to have for breakfast, what we're going to have for lunch. Let's say you've made, you don't know what you're going to have for breakfast, you don't know what you're going to have for lunch, you don't know what you're going to have for snacks. You've made good choices with breakfast, lunch and snacks. By the time you get to dinner, you are going to be so fatigued, you can't be asked. So realistically, we either get a takeaway, we eat crap out the cupboards because it's there, we grab something on the way home because it's quick and it's easy. If you have a list of meals that you enjoy making, you know that you can fit into your calories, your macros, your meal plan, that eliminates that fatigued decision and we make better choices and we can stay on plan better. So having a list of meals that you enjoy. So what I mean by that is breakfast, lunch, dinner, list all of the things that fit within your calories and macros you enjoy making, that you like to have, that are maybe easier to consume, like on the go, and then you don't have that decision to make throughout the day. You wake up, breakfast, done, making that today. Lunch, I'll prep that, done, take it to work. Dinner, I'm either going to make something nice or along the lines of this. So just makes it a lot easier for you to be able to stick to your plan if you don't have a million decisions to make throughout the day. So next thing, plan your meals. Kind of goes along the lines with obviously planning the meals for the week in advance, do the necessary grocery shopping. So we'll go through this in like little points. So planning your meals and snacks ahead of time. Again, that kind of goes with the having the list of the meals that you enjoy so that it can prevent the impulsive, unhealthy food choices. Because when we're hungry, or when we don't have an actual meal, majority of the time that's when cravings are going to kick in. The reason why we crave stuff, the reason why our bodies have cravings is because we are hungry. And if you crave things that are, most likely high in salts, high in sugars, The reason why your body craves that is for the insulin kick you get from sugar. Sugar is glucose. Glucose is energy. Glucose is also found in carbs, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good as long as you pair them alongside a good meal. If you go to the cupboard and you just have a slice of bread, that's fine, it doesn't matter, but it's not going to give you the fuel that you need for when your body is asking for that thing. So if you plan your meals well throughout the day, it can prevent you from making those unhealthy food choices. Now, food I've gone through before. We'll dive in a little bit deeper in like future topics, but food is nor bad or good. You just have options that give you more nutrition and less nutrition. Pair them together, perfect. But if you aren't planning meals and you're just grabbing on the go, you're not giving your body what it's asking for, hence why we get those cravings for quick releases of fuel. So make sure that you are creating good meals with a whole balance of carbs, fats and proteins to ensure that you stay nice and satisfied and that you're actually getting the nutrition and the energy that your body is asking for through the food. Understand as well that just finding foods that fit your macros aren't necessarily going to be great food choices. Yes, okay, at the end of the day, you've smashed your calories. That's fine, but in reality, not all foods are going to create a good food balance. If you fit and put into your calories for the day, chocolate bars, crisps, things that aren't particularly great for you in terms of nutritional value, you aren't going to get the most out of your calories. Make sure that you have a good balance of meals and foods. Again, if you are just filling your protein sources with protein bars, protein snacks, high protein options, it's not going to be a good protein source. Try and opt for things that are whole protein, meats, cheeses, vegan, vegetarian options. There's lots of things to go for. Your protein powders are great, but try and stay away from filling your protein from just quick release protein stuff, as well as they're really expensive. So if you're going for things that are actually a whole food, you're going to feel satisfied, you're going to get the nutrition that your body's asking for, you're going to get the fuel that your body's asking for, and you're also going to make your protein, your macros and your calories filled in a much, much better way. You'll also find that you might feel a lot more fuller from these options as well, because they are a whole source of food, so you're less likely to feel hungry after just snacky bits throughout the day. So we then lead on to planning your day ahead of time if you're going out for the day. Again, I'm going to dive into this topic a little bit more specifically with this because there's obviously other things that we can speak through. But the main thing is, and a lot of the time, excuses that I get on check-ins is, I was out all day so I couldn't eat my meals. You don't have to eat your meals that you would normally have throughout the day if you are out all day. For me, I'm a bodybuilder, athlete, I have to stick to my meal plan. But if I get caught out and I don't have that meal with me, be clever with your options. If you would normally have chicken and pasta, go and look at what supermarkets are around. There is millions of supermarkets wherever you go. It doesn't matter if you go out for the day and you go up north. It doesn't matter if you're driving and you're traveling and you have to stop at a service station. Everywhere has a supermarket. You have a supermarket, or you have the choice to have quick fast food. Now, it's up to you what option you make, but don't use it as an excuse not to eat well. Look at what supermarkets are around. You can easily create on the go good filling meals in replacement of what you would usually have. For example, you can go in, you can get some tortilla wraps, you can get a bag of salad, you can get some deli meat or some cheeses, Baby Bells, and create a nice wrap. You can then also get maybe a packet of crisps or some rice cakes on the side and some fruit. There's lots of different things you can create on the go while still fitting in with the meals that you would usually have. Yes, okay, they might not be your usual meal, but you can still create good choices. For example, me and Joe went away a few years ago and we didn't have breakfast at our hotel, so we wanted to go and find breakfast somewhere. I didn't want to have a greasy breakfast, and I don't know why we didn't make the decision to go like properly out for breakfast, but anyway, we went to a supermarket. I got some yogurt, I got some fruit, I got a from Lidl's, I got a, what are they called? Croissant. So there we go. We've created a meal there which has some good, some protein. Croissants aren't exactly like the best choice I could have made in terms of the carb source, but it has the enjoyment there. So not only am I satisfying my body physically, I'm satisfying myself mentally as well, because I'm having something a little bit, that I wouldn't normally have in there as well. So you can have good meals on the go, and you can plan your day ahead of time in terms of if you are out all day. So it's just being clever with it and actually wanting to make good choices. You could easily go to all of the fast food shops on the go if you're out all day and use that as an excuse. But I know from experience, and I know from obviously the education, you don't need to do that, and it's up to you whether you do it or not. With your meals as well, when you are eating out, so again, we'll dive into this a little bit deeper in another topic, but eating out, my main advice with this is establish what you're willing to sacrifice. If you want to eat out regularly, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to the goal you want to get to. If you are wanting to dedicate yourself to a goal, you've reached out for my help for a reason. We want to get into a position where we've got that support. We're aiming to get closer to where we want to be. We are going to have to make sacrifices along the way. And majority of the time, those sacrifices mean not eating out as much, not having as much takeaways, being a little bit more on it with your foods. So when you eat out, you need to establish what sacrifice you want to make. Do you want to sacrifice having a meal out every, twice a week and just do it for once a week? Or do you want to sacrifice having to work towards your goal for a lot longer? So that's my main point there. If you do eat out, you can be semi-prepared. You can either allocate the amount of calories for that meal, will just mean that, again, you have to make a few sacrifices throughout the day to have those calories for that meal. So it might mean that you just need to sacrifice a few calories through the other meals throughout the day. Or you can track it in, whatever you're using, MyFitnessPal, or you're using it directly through the app. You can track it in if the option is there to do so, but don't panic if there isn't. Just allocate the amount of calories for that meal. If you are going to Nando's, majority of the time, like the calories are on the menus now, so you can just look at what you are wanting to have as a meal. Let's say it's like 500 calories. All you do is create a meal into MyFitnessPal or on the tracking app and just go 500 calories, and then that 500 calories is taken away from your calories. Or you can just eat the amount of calories that you're going to have throughout the day and save 500 calories for that meal. So you can just go out and enjoy yourself. But having that option there is much easier than you stressing and worrying about it. You can still go out for meals, but just understand that if you are doing it on a regular basis, it will take us a little bit longer to get to where we want to be. Also, if you're following a meal plan, what I normally do for my off-plan meals is just have that meal out in replacement of 2 meals on my plan. And I just added in here as well, as much as eating out is enjoyable, please do not feel pressure to have to eat out all the time just because everybody else is. Obviously, if people are booking meals, then it's nice to go out and do that meal with everyone. But you can do lots of fun things with family and friends without it having to be based around food. There's so many activities that you can do that doesn't need to be revolved around food or drinking. And if you truly want to spend time with people, there's lots of other ways to be able to do that without it always having to be around or based around food. So the last thing to go through with like meal planning is buy what you need, not necessarily what you want. So what I mean by this is if you have snacks or things that you tend to overeat in the cupboards, you are going to do that because it's there. One of the biggest things people struggle with is this particular thing. So be cautious not to buy for the sake of it having it around, because it's in the cupboard. It's there. So for example, obviously I am post my competition and it's really difficult not to eat all of the foods I've wanted for the last 7 months. It's hard. I understand. I appreciate it, but having it in the house has been far more harder for me than not having it there. So for example, I don't have anything in the house right now that I know I'm going to overeat on. All I've got is rice cakes, bits and bobs for my meal plan to make meals. If you have ingredients, you're less likely to eat those ingredients. You're more likely to make the meal, to have the meal. If you have snacks and things that are very quick to consume, of course you're going to overeat them. Of course you are going to steer away from the plan because the foods are there. So for example, like I said, in this drawer, my friend the other day come round and brought a thing of snacks. This was full. Obviously me and Joe have shared them, but because I put them in my drawer when I'm working, they're there. I know that they're there. So every 5 minutes, I'd open the drawer and go, oh, there's a little sweet there. I'll have that. I don't need it. And I'm not thinking about it unless it's there. So try not to have things you will overeat on. Another thing for me is granola. For some reason, I overeat granola. I can control myself of it, but for some people that's really difficult. Having cereal or things that are very, very easy to, I have one bowl, got some leftover milk, or I have another bowl. Things like that, don't buy them unless you are wanting to have that as your, extra for the day, or as your treat for the day, or as your other meal that you want to have. If you know you overeat on a specific thing, avoid having it in the house, because majority of the time we are lazy. We are lazy beings. If you don't have it in the house and you have to leave the house to go and get it, you're less likely to go and get it unless you are really, really wanting it. So not having it in the house, not buying it is far more better for you. And also try to avoid, everyone should know this, everyone should do this, try and avoid doing your food shop on an empty stomach or when you are starving, because what are you going to do? You're going to pick up everything that looks great. I hated shopping on prep when I hadn't had a meal. I had to eat before I go out to the shop. Otherwise, I will get more hungry at the thought of other things. So try to eat prior to your food shop so that you don't pick up things that you don't necessarily need. So hopefully that all of those things have helped out a little bit. What I'm going to do is also make this into a PDF so that you can go through it in your own time as well. The next thing I want to go through is sticking to your meals. Now, both of these do kind of go together, and some points to sticking to your meals will be in the things I've just spoken through. I'm just going to blow my nose and have a wee, because most of you know that I need to do that. Not that you need to know, but I'm going to pause this for a minute and then we'll go through sticking to your meals. Right. Sticking to meals. So first thing to go through is your portion control. So majority of the time, obviously, if we're overeating quite a lot, it's because of the portion size of what you give yourself. So try and use smaller plates if it helps you control those portions, and try and eat more regularly throughout the day as well, if you possibly can. Big meals can be really heavy on your digestion system, which can cause issues with bloating or prevent you from having a good quality sleep as well if they're too close to bed. Try and fill your meals with fruits and veggies. I know not everyone likes fruits and veggies, but let's be honest, they are helpful. You can make them taste nice. Not only is it going to help you feel more full, because it creates volume in your meals, so you feel like you're getting more. It also will aid with digestion, helping you have some more fibre in your diet will make you feel good. And also basing your meals around the protein source. So this goes for eating out as well. If you base your meal, choose the protein source first and then add the components to that meal. Protein is a building block for a lot of things, which we can dive into a lot more detail in a future topic. But one of the things it does do is keep you fuller for longer, because it takes longer to digest. It's in your system for a bit longer. So if you have at least a 20 to 30 gram, or you aim to have a 20 to 30 gram portion per meal, you will feel far more satisfied and satiated within those meals that you are having as well. So a lot of these things are going to be very psychological, because it does take us dedication and discipline to stick to a schedule and stick to meals. So like I said, try not to take this literally, and individually we'll work between your actual worries, but these are just like main things that I'm going to go through, because not everyone can do this next thing. So listening to your body, paying attention to your hunger and your fullness cues. This is where mindful eating comes into play. Eat when you are hungry and stop when you're satisfied. So the reason why I just said about that psychological, because not everyone can do this. And for example, for myself, because I've been dieting for so long, and because I was so lean, my hormones, my hunger hormones weren't working properly. They weren't regulating properly, which means that I didn't have a cue for when I was full. So it was very easy for me to overeat. So I don't want everyone to take that literally, but you do need to be mindful for when you're eating, and need to be mindful for, when you're eating. Like the next one is like, there's one at the bottom which we'll go through, mindful eating, so I'll just leave that for a minute. But it does come into that, being mindful of when you are actually eating and paying attention to your body's cues. Now this links to the one that we went through up here about you having specific meals and having the consistency to regulate your metabolism. If you do that, it will help you with that like mindful side of things, and it will help your body know when the next meal is coming, and you can listen to your body a lot better as well. Next one, include variety and make your meals enjoyable. The biggest one, incorporate a variety of foods, ensure that you're getting a good range of nutrients. This can also make your meals more interesting and satisfying. Make your meals nice. If you don't look forward to your meals, if you don't look forward to your foods, then of course you're going to skip it, and you're going to opt for something that you consider a lot nicer. If we have a meal prepped and it tastes like shit and you don't want it, you are going to avoid it, and you're going to go, oh, there's donuts in the office, I'd rather have one of those. Make your meals nice so that the next one you'll go, can't wait for that meal, I'm so hungry, can't wait for it. If someone comes in with a donut, oh no, I'm really excited for my meal. Make them nice. Use different flavors, different ways of cooking, different sauces. For example, chicken and rice can be boring if you make chicken, rice. If you make it into a curry or a stir fry, way more enjoyable. Same for pasta. Make it into a lasagna, spag bowl, pasta bake. It can be so much more enjoyable if you put the effort into your food. Now, I know Tupperware food is never really that enjoyable. There's like few little advice tips I could give you, like get glass Tupperware, because it does keep it a lot fresher. But there's also that element of, yes, okay, my meal isn't going to taste like it does when it's fresh from home, but it's far more enjoyable and far more nicer for me than having something that's really quick off the bat. As well as like that side of things, working in an office, it can be very, difficult to stay away from people that are like, oh, I'm just going to nip to Subway, do you want one? Or I'm just going to nip to McDonald's, do you want something? I know that can be difficult, but remember that your calories are valuable. What you eat is valuable. If you make the choice to have that McDonald's, fine, but you've sacrificed potentially enjoying a really nice meal that you've made yourself, or having something that you really want to have just because someone else has influenced you to have something different. So just bear that in mind as well. Staying hydrated can help you stay on track with meals as well, because sometimes the feeling of hunger can be mistaken for dehydration. So if you are sipping throughout the day and you're getting enough water in and enough hydration in, then when you do get those hunger feelings, you know that it is true hunger. Also, between meals, you may get like fake hunger too. So just having some water in between your meals, and also things like diet drinks and stuff like that you can get, like Coke Zeros or Fanta Zero or whatever you want, so that you can tide you over between each meal. If you have them in between each meal, it'll help your meal digest a little bit better as well. Just a little top tip there. Accountability. This one might sound a bit harsh, but I have said it before. You're an adult, so you should eat like an adult. You know, at the end of the day, you've come to me for help and support, but it is down to you to apply those things and make sure that you're doing something that is for you. You have to want to be better. You have to want to do these things. If you don't, it's very easy to be off track, and it's very easy not to stay on track with things. So as much as that sounds harsh, you are an adult, you should eat like an adult, and you should be accountable for your actions for when you don't apply what you want to achieve. In terms of sleep, so again, like I said about the hunger hormones, if you don't get a good amount of sleep and you are tired and you don't get a good quality of sleep, it can actually mess with your hunger hormones, and it can lead to increased cravings for overeating because you are tired. If you don't get enough sleep, sleep is so important. Sleep and fuel through your food, your fuel through your sleep, both of those are your energy. If you don't get enough sleep, you're going to want to have more food to override the tired feeling. If you eat too much, you're going to feel tired. You know, like after a big meal, sometimes we feel tired, so we just need the sleep. So understanding that sleep is so important. If you don't have good sleep right now, focus on that. Get good quality night's sleep, and I will certainly suggest that it will improve your eating habits moving forwards, because it can, like I said, it can create a hunger that we don't necessarily need because it messes with your hormones. So get a good night's sleep. Your sleep is your reset button, so make sure that we are hitting that every day. Regardless of what shifts you do, you can still get a good quality sleep around what shifts. Also, in terms of like not expecting too much of yourself. If you set the bar too high, if you set unrealistic expectations, you are going to find it very difficult. When we work together, obviously all of you are very individual, but all of us have our individual things to work towards. Make little changes to your diet and consider making them gradually. You know, sudden, drastic changes to your diet. If you try and start eating like me, you're going to be like, whoa, what the hell? This is way too much. I can't eat 6 meals a day. I don't like all this stuff. This is too much for me. If you don't eat enough throughout the day and you're only having 2 meals a day, then we'll eat 3 meals a day and we'll just build it up gradually. If you overeat calories every single day, we just bring them down a little bit, just a little bit, and then we work towards it. So understanding those little things we're doing helps you in the long run. So we'll go through mindful eating. So this one is like, I don't know why it does this. This one's important because this is where the psychological side comes. Like, right, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a therapist, I just know my stuff through what I've done, and obviously helping you guys. So mindful eating, practice mindful eating. So what I mean by that is enjoy your food when you eat it. Chew slowly, pay attention to the flavours, the texture of your foods, savour the bites. Try not to just waft it down just because it's there. You know, I understand sometimes we've got to eat quick on the go, but if you are eating your meal whilst driving, you're not really paying attention to that. Not only does that affect your digestion, it doesn't allow you to be in tune with your body whilst you're eating, which then can disrupt the like feeling of feeling full or feeling satisfied. So when you sit down for a meal, take yourself away from your laptop, take yourself away from your desk, away from a stressful environment. Go and enjoy your meal on your own. I don't know about you guys, but if Joe tries to talk to me when I'm eating, he won't get a word. He'll get snapped at because I'm enjoying my food, and he knows that now. Like when I sit down and eat my meal, I want to enjoy my meal, enjoy my food. So do the same thing. Try not to eat in a stressful environment because it's not helpful. Take yourself away, go and sit somewhere nice if you can. If you can't, go and sit in your car, sit somewhere peaceful, eat your meal, in a peaceful environment and enjoy it. Pay attention to also what you're eating and savor your bites that you're having. Avoid the distractions from like your TV, you know, your phone. I don't know why I put smartphone. And you know, take yourself away from that, because if I'm sat here like on my phone now, like that's not me paying attention to this video. If I go on my phone when I'm on PT, not paying attention to the person that I'm PTing. It's the same as when you're eating. If you are on your phone whilst you're eating, you're not paying attention to that food. So you're not you're not in tune with your body or in tune with what you're actually eating. Eat slowly, allow your body to signal when it's full, and it takes your brain time to register when you're satisfied. For example, we went to Roosters the other night, ate my meal, really nice, walked out, still hungry, got home, wasn't hungry. So just understand that it takes a little bit of time, and if you eat slower, if some of you have seen my baby spoon, the reason why I eat with a baby spoon is because it's small and it allows me to eat in small bites. I eat really fast, despite whether I was on prep, I have since a kid. I just eat. Not only does that give me really bad IBS, it doesn't help me with my signalling when I'm full. So eat nice and slow, chew properly, and you will feel fuller for a better period of time because you haven't just wafted your food down. Also, kind of leads into identifying triggers around food and unhealthy eating habits. I've been talking for too long. So identify situations or emotions that trigger the way you feel towards food. We'll go through this in a little bit more detail because I feel like it's a subject on its own, but finding alternative coping mechanisms that you can do to avoid emotional eating. I've gone through this with a few of you before. Replacing something that actually is going to benefit your current mood with that over food is far more beneficial for you moving forwards. It's hard, it's difficult, especially if you are an emotional eater. I get it, I am. Whether I'm happy, sad, frustrated, I turn to food or I turn away from food. So with this, it's that mindfulness and wanting to be more in tune with yourself. If you are sad and upset, fuck it, gonna go and get a pizza. Why? It's the same as if you go and take drugs or you go and drink. All of these things are cover-ups for a temporary feeling of feeling good over what you're currently feeling. It's uncomfortable to address the current feeling, I get it, but if you do, you're working towards a bettering you. If you replace that and you cover it up with something that's just going to give you a very temporary high, it doesn't go away, which leads you to doing it more. That's where, everything comes in, addiction. We can be addicted to food because of the small temporary little dopamine hit it gives us. Let's be honest, all of us love food, yeah? All of us love going out, blah, blah, blah. But you can have control over it, It doesn't have to be the bane of your life. It doesn't have to be the controller of your life. If you are understanding how you're actually feeling more, you will then obviously create a better relationship with your food, and you won't just turn to food to cover up a certain feeling. So identify that and challenge those unhelpful thoughts. Kind of what I just said then. Pay attention to the negative thoughts about food, your body image, yourself. Challenge them and reframe them from being thoughts with reframe them with thoughts of being a little bit more positive and realistic. So a lot of the time, in terms of body image, it can be one tiny little thing. And we'll go through this in a bit more detail because it doesn't really link right now. But, be realistic with your thoughts. That's all I'm going to say with that one. Flexibility, be flexible with your meal planning. Life can be unpredictable and it's okay to adapt your plan if you need to. The same as what I said about going to a supermarket or going to the shops, If you normally have, let's say I normally have eggs and bacon with my McMuffin. I can't make that on the go all the time, but what I could do is go to the shops and get some ham, some boiled eggs and a bread roll. It's not the same, but it's along the lines of, life doesn't happen the way we plan it all the time, but having a plan in the first place is important because it's far more easier to adapt a plan than have to remake one from scratch. So for example, like I said yesterday, I was meant to go food shopping yesterday after the gym, but I got to the gym later. I had more to do with you guys check-ins yesterday, so I wasn't able to get to the gym at the time that I wanted to, which meant that on the way back from the gym I wasn't able to go to the shops because I'd be stuck in traffic. So I avoided it. I've still got stuff in the cupboards that I can, use, but I do need to do a top-up shop. So I'll go today, I'll go after work, it's fine. But because I have that plan already in, I've got a schedule of what I need. I've got foods frozen in the freezer so that I can defrost certain stuff over having it fresh. It's fine, I can adapt to that, and it's okay for you to do that as well. Remember that forming new habits takes time. Be patient with yourself. If you have a setback, don't be too hard on yourself. Instead, like I've always said to all of you, learn from it, move forwards. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake or you do something that you didn't particularly want to do. It's done. You move forward from it, you learn from it. For example, it could be, I need to plan my time a little bit better, or I need to dedicate that time to do that a little bit better, or I need to buy more foods at a certain time. Make sustainable changes to your eating habits is a journey. It takes consistent steps on a long-term basis, and it takes a long time to get there. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't do what I do. I've been doing this for 7 years. It takes a long time. I've been a bodybuilder for 3 years. It takes a long time to get into those habits. When I first started bodybuilding, it was like, what the fuck? I can't eat 6 meals. Like, what the hell has this lady put me on? Now, if I don't have them, I'm hungry. So it takes time to adapt to things. Change is hard, but it takes time to get there. And your habits, your small little habits, is what forms your routine, what forms your schedule. So just be patient with yourself with certain things. You might not be at that fitness influencers level, but you will get there over time. If that's where you want to be, what's stopping you from being there? The questions I got about how to not feel guilty for not taking off tasks or going over your food. Hopefully I've kind of gone through that with the little points here. But again, it's about going not being too hard on yourself. If you go slightly over on your food one day, it's not the end of the world. You need to remember that your body doesn't know specifically what you're going to have each day. It just knows whether you're slightly over or slightly under, and whether you've done the activity to equate for that. If you go slightly over on your food, it's done. You've consumed it. You've eaten it. Move on. The next day, fresh start to start again. Even if it's in the same day. I said this to a client in a check-in yesterday. If you mess up or something goes a little bit wrong in the same day, if your morning routine wasn't how you wanted it, it's okay. You have the rest of the day to still do good. You don't have to write off that whole day just because the morning went a little bit weird. You can still have a good rest of your day. The same with stuff like this. If you're not really relevant for today, but if you're going over your foods all of the time, hang on a minute. Where's that gone? If you're going over your foods all of the time, then we need to look at what areas we need to make changes to, essentially, because we can't be going over foods all of the time, because it's not going to get you to where you want to be. If you go over foods slightly one day, it's okay, that's fine. I've consumed it a little bit. I've gone over a little bit. Where have I gone over? Did I really need that? Did I enjoy it? If you're going to go over on your foods, you might as well enjoy what you're having. And if you didn't, what was the point? So, with stuff like this, if you have your meals, if you have them set, it's all very helpful for things like this. In terms of eating around shifts, I'm going to go into this a little bit more detail on an actual topic about shift work and accommodating for shifts and things like that. So I will do that potentially in the next few. So hopefully this has been helpful. Please fire away specific questions that I can actually answer, because today I've just gone through the topic on what things that I feel that I should go through. So if I have questions from you guys, I know it's difficult because I do answer quite a lot of questions in your check-ins and give you all of the advice and support, but it's more like for new clients that potentially don't know those things. So please ask me questions, that gives me things to talk about. But I hope this has been helpful for you all. And the next topic, I'll decide which one we'll go through next. So it might be something along the lines of these. I have a list at the top of all the things I want to go through. So we'll do each topic at a time and just ask me the questions as we go along, and I can put those at the bottom. I will also change this into a PDF so you can look over it as well. But again, like I said, hope it's been helpful. Hope you all have a lovely day. Ask me any questions that you may have, and I'll speak to you all soon.